back to On Pit Row. As Charlie said, we are very happy to have from the Speed Channel and from Fox Sports, Jeff Hammond, also the author of Real Men Work in the Pits. Remember, as we head towards the holidays, that is a perfect gift to give to everybody. Real Men Work in the Pits. Jeff Hammond, welcome to the show again, bud. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Hope y'all are.
This is one of those nights where, there's no dearth of things to talk about, I guess. The question is, where the heck do we want to start with all of this? And I'm going to ask you the question that I told Charlie to make sure that I remember so that I don't forget the thing right away.
I'm glad I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot, so at least I remember. Here's the deal, Jeff, and I don't know, understand this. With all the advancements and all the things on all these race cars, nobody in 50 years has been able to figure out how to fix a bead from getting too hot on a tire so that it blows out. Why now? Why haven't they been able to figure that thing out?
Well, it's part of what the monster we have created with the way that we, and I say we collectively, as far as NASCAR is concerned, run our brakes. We have the wheel that they decided is a certain size we're going to race, and we cram all the brakes we can inside these tight packages where they've got maybe anywhere between an eighth or 3/16 of an inch of clearance. And then those drivers go out there and they drive these cars as hard as they can. They superheat these rotors to over 1,000 degrees, and when that radiant heat goes up through the rim, unfortunately the way that a tire is made, it's not made out of solid rubber. It's a series of rubber laid together and bonded in an oven, and when you start reheating it, it melts. And when it melts, it loses air. When it loses air, it goes flat. When it goes flat, you knock the wall down.
Wasn't there discussion a year, 2, 3 years ago about increasing the size of the wheel to eliminate that problem? Whatever happened to that discussion?
It's like every discussion that ever comes down the pike. I mean, you have to have people who are willing to give a little, and you got to have people that are willing to invest in the cost. I mean, it's not something we can't do. It's just a matter of they haven't done it. Between Goodyear and NASCAR and the competitors, they have not arrived at a determination that, okay, this is what we're going to do to finally fix this problem. I mean, we've coated wheels. We blow air on it. We tell our drivers not to make the cars push, don't overuse the brakes. But it's a problem that exists, and it's very sad that it happened to Jimmy Johnson the way it did. But again, it is a part of what racing has always been. Blowing tires, whether it's because of inferior tires, because of brake heat, because of running over something on the racetrack, it's a part of the game.
Jeff, this is Charlie. Obviously, the end of the race Sunday was chaotic, I guess would be the way to describe it. Without talking yet about the competition part of it, can you comment about what happened between Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon and what happened with their teams and what you think about it for us?
Well, it's pretty obvious what happened is that, the driver, as far as Jeff Gordon's concerned, has had some issues with Clint Boyer in the past. They made contact on the racetrack. Jeff went up and, wound up bouncing off the wall. Clint went on by. And Clint, in my opinion, it didn't look like he intentionally did anything. They got together, just some good hard racing. But because of that incident, Jeff felt like enough was enough, and I've got to retaliate. That's all it was. It was him finally saying enough's enough. I'm not going to go to pit road till you know that you're not going to do that to me. And subsequently, he wound up wrecking him. And any time that something like this happens, having been on teams in the past, having been in an exact situation like this in 1989 after getting wrecked and the teams going at it, it's just everybody, they're on sensory overload, you might say. They blow a head gasket, and they lose their cool, and they go out there and the cars are extensions of our family to a certain degree. We love our race cars, and when you tear up our race cars, especially unnecessarily, sometimes emotions get the best of these crews, and that's what we saw on Sunday. We just saw a situation where it had gone too far for them, and they reacted. I'm not saying they did right. I just understand it. I've been in that situation before.
Jeff, after the race, actually quite a while after the race, Brad Keselowski famously was caught in a rant where his emotions got let loose, and not commenting on the language, but some of the things he said, I think deserve comment from somebody like you. That it has gotten out of control. That drivers are the retaliation's gone too far. To me, from what I can recall as a 40-year race fan, I've seen it before. I don't know that this is necessarily different than it's been in the past, but I'd rather hear that from you. What do you think?
It's not any different in the past. And I think what he was commenting on was the week before, as hard as he raced Jimmy Johnson, some of the drivers and some other media and people like that had made comments that he was driving irresponsibly and he was going to kill somebody, and he had a death wish because the way he bounced off of Jimmy Johnson. Mm-hmm. And here we go, Jeff Gordon wrecked somebody, and we're not going after Jeff Gordon,
right?
And they're not berating him like they did Brad Keselowski. And Brad just felt like it was not fair. I'm trying to win a championship. I'm racing as hard as I can. I didn't think, and he felt like he wasn't out of control. He was just fighting for his position on the racetrack as hard as he could, and people took exception to it. But yet this happens, and it's almost like it's understandable and it's acceptable. And his point was it's not acceptable, and I don't understand it. Why do we allow this to happen and go on like this? We are really here because of 2 weeks in a row, hard racing and emotion. We have now gotten to the point that everybody's being judgmental, and you're trying to pick on which side of the fence you want to be on. Is it good to let the boys have at it, crash everybody, right, or should they be more responsible and race like angels? The sport has always been unpredictable. The sport has always been emotional, and this is not the first time. You go back to '79, mm-hmm. Cale Yarborough and the Allison boys fought on the back straightaway at Daytona. Everybody thought that was great. In '89, the Tide team, the Kodiak team, Rusty and Darrell, we got into it. We've had emotions. We've had Tony Stewart throw helmets. We've had Michael Waltrip hit Blake Speed in the race car after the race with his helmet on. These guys, they get hot. The teams get mad. To me, it's like a bench clearing brawl at a baseball. I mean, that's America's game right there. And somebody about gets beamed with a baseball. Next thing you know, everybody's coming out and grabbing each other and fighting. Is somebody trying to kill somebody? I don't think anybody's trying to kill anybody. But sometimes you have to stand up for what you think is right. I mean, and every manager in baseball will sooner or later tell a pitcher, you got to give him a brush down. You got to knock him down. Not hit him, but you got to throw at him. If he gets hit, move too slow. Yeah. But because that's the nature of the game. This is the nature of our game. Football's got a nature. Basketball's got a nature. It's a contact sport. I'm not excusing either or the other. I'm not trying to excuse either way. I just know what it's like to get caught up in the emotion, and I'm not going to judge these guys because when you get mad sometimes, it's like road rage on the highway. Nobody can calm you down until you go through your due process.
We're talking with Jeff Hammond from Speed Channel and Fox Sports. Jeff, you talk about the way that Brad Keselowski ran the week before, and some people took umbrage with that, said he was racing too hard. Do you, in your opinion, did he do anything wrong a week ago?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not. He did nothing wrong. He showed me that he wanted that championship by racing Jimmy like he did. He didn't cheap shot Jimmy. Mm-mm. It's just like when he raced Marcus Ambrose up at the Glen earlier. He running the back up. Yeah, he shoved him down that short chute to try to get around him. He did not wreck him. Yep. He races guys hard. If you cheap shot him, he'll cheap shot you back. But I have not seen Brad Keselowski cheap shot somebody, yet. Now, everybody's like, what about what happened between him and Carl Edwards? Carl came across his nose. He just didn't yield.
Right.
But I've never seen that kid go out and deliberately wreck somebody. He's got a ton of talent. He's got a lot of passion. And what he did with Jimmy Johnson was totally on the up and up. I mean, Jimmy might take exception to, he run into me. Well, it happens sometimes. And all he was trying to do was hold on to the lead. He raced him hard, but he didn't try to take Jimmy out. Jimmy recovered very nicely, wound up coming back and winning the race. I mean, so, let it go, people. That's what racing's supposed to be. Be aggressive.
Yep.
Be passionate about it.
Yeah, so I wish we had more of it.
I don't see it that way.
Yeah, if there's anything that fans have complained about over the last few years, that there hasn't been that passion shown by drivers, by crew chiefs, by crew members, by everybody in the sport. That's what people want to see. They don't necessarily want to see wrecks, and that's what everybody says. Oh, there's not enough crashing and banging. There's not enough passion, I think, is what most people are saying, and that's exactly what finally has come to the forefront over the last couple of weeks.
We saw it with Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon after the nationwide race there in Texas. And, again, two drivers agreeing to disagree and showing some passion for what they've got going on. I don't like seeing race cars torn up. I mean, I've had to fix too many of them in my career.
Yeah.
But every now and then you have to stand your ground and make a statement.
Jeff,
I will say this much for what happened with the crews. I think they got a little bit too overzealous. In my latter part of my career, it was a standing order with the owner and me as a crew chief. Something happens, you go to your driver, you back your driver. If they start it, you finish it, but you better not start it.
Hey, Jeff, we have to take a break. Is it possible you can stick across the break and we can continue this?
Sure.
All right, good deal.
Sure.
We're gonna take a break. I'll stick you on hold, and then we'll come right back to you. This is On Pit Road.
Fastest show on Ustream TV.